best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. To be a nurse, a selfless human who cares 24/7 is a real calling and a blessing. Nurses, a voice to lead, invest in nursing and respect to secure global health, the theme of International Nurses Day 2022. Here comes a question within us. Have we invested in the right direction? To throw better light and understanding on the same, we have Ms. Sunita Domingo, Secretary, Karnataka Chapter, to chair the session on Invest in Nursing. Are we invested in the right direction? Over to you, madam.
Good afternoon and welcome to ANICON 2022. As we continue our conference, we are delighted to present you with track 2. Our focus should be in protecting, supporting, and investing in the nursing profession to strengthen health systems around the world. I'm also posed with a question to myself. Can a hospital run without nurses? And all of you will surely know the answer. We are an integral part in the plan of patient care and outcomes. We should look back and see if we as a profession are invested in the right direction. I'm delighted to welcome our 4 eminent speakers and 2 special star nurses on the topic, Invest in Nursing. Are we invested in the right direction? As I introduce them together, I invite Ms. Mudita Singh, founder, EC member, Annie, to start. She is a graduate of CMC Velo and postgraduate in hospital administration and MBA, hospital management. She worked in various capacities in the Department of Nursing in her career span of more than 30 years, presently working as an Associate Vice President Nursing at HCG Group of Hospitals. Let's listen to her views on nursing service. Do we need a right direction? A very warm welcome, Ms. Punita. Next on the track is Dr. Jadhav Sonali Tarachand, member Annie Karnataka, Principal Ramaya Institute of Nursing Education and Research, Bangalore. Acquired a PhD in nursing in the year 2017 at New Delhi, India. She has over 20 years of work experience, includes bedside, academics, research, and administration. She has served as member, Board of Studies, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences for 2 terms. She has published research and review articles in reputed journals and is a co-editor of a book titled Clinical Nursing Procedures. She shall enlighten us on nursing education, what can be changed for the current needs. A hearty welcome, Dr. Jadhav Sonali. Association of Nurse Executives India is delighted to have a person all the way from the US, Dr. Mary Lopez, PhD, Dean, College of Graduate Nursing. She has over 30 years of experience in her field of nursing. Dr. Lopez is certified as a nurse executive, public health nurse, and legal nurse consultant. She has got a long list of recognition. Ma'am, we are honored to have you. Dr. Lopez will be sharing the international perspective on the topic, Invest in Nursing. We look forward to hearing you soon. We are delighted to have amongst us a renowned personality, Mr. Vijay Ratna V, CEO, Motherhood Group of Hospitals, Karnataka. Mr. Vijay Ratna has over 28 years of experience across various leading healthcare organizations. He was responsible for formulating the business development, strategies, relationship management, and also managing the operations of the hospital. Mr. Vijay Ratna will give his views on the CEO's perspective on Invest in Nursing. Are we invested in the right direction? Warm welcome, sir. Association of Nurse Executives of India, are committed to improving the future of nurses and nursing in India. We had an elocution competition, and the winner for Pan India is Miss Christina Susan Nathan, a second year BSc Nursing, MSc, MS Ramaya Institute of Nursing. Shall I take this again? Association of Nurse Executive Association of Nurse Executives India are committed to improving the future of nurses and nursing in India. We had an elocution competition pan India, and the winner, Miss Christina Susan, second year BSc Nursing, MS Ramaya Institute of Nursing Education and Research, will give the student perspective of academics in Invest in Nursing. It gives me great pleasure to also introduce a young leader staff nurse, Ms. Shanu Thomas, BSc Nurse and Diploma in Hospital Administration, presently working as quality nurse in Fortis Hospital and Kidney Foundation, will give her thoughts on the perspective from a staff angle on Invest in Nursing. A warm welcome to you, Shanu. Now I hand over the podium to all our eminent speakers. Let me invite Ms. Punita Singh to share her thoughts.
Everyone, good afternoon. First of all, let me congratulate the Annie for organizing such an amazing conference. And I also congratulate the Karnataka chapter for taking this up this year. Best wishes from HCG Hospitals. So today we are going to talk about why do we need a different direction, whether it is needed now or not. Invest in Nursing has been a topic by International Council of Nurses for a few years now, and it is a no-brainer. Organizations have to invest in nursing, but for them to invest in nursing, as nursing fraternity, are we going in the right direction? My slide. Title, which was by International Council of Nurses for a few years now. It is a no-brainer. Organizations have to invest in nursing, but then for us to invest, for them to invest in nursing, is the nursing fraternity moving in the right direction? It is time that we stop begging people, please do this for us, provide a better accommodation, pay me better salary. Instead, why don't we start demanding where we put forth the data of what we are doing, and then we can rightfully demand with the organization what is it that we need for our nurses. I think that is the direction we need to move now. So why do we really need a different direction? because there is a serious shortage of nursing workforce. you know According to the data which is provided by the Indian government, some a couple of years back, we only have 3 million nurses to cater for 1.3 billion population, and this number is only increasing day by day. WHO norm is 3 nurses for every 1,000 population, but we are not even there. And by 2024, our numbers are going to even increase to 4.5 million nurses. Where are we? We are nowhere closer to that. And on top of it, there is a serious brain drain. People are leaving us and going. And among the existing nurses, there's a lot of dissatisfaction because the pressure is more on them. There's exponential growth in healthcare as well. There is a huge supply demand gap. So the focus of the hour would be changing in practice, restructuring of nursing education, and all these things, and ending with timely recognition, incentives, and proper pay. All these things will only elevate the image of nurses and of nursing. So, moving into change of practices or changing practices, there is a definitely wider scope of nursing practice, which we are really not focusing on. There are extended and expanded roles of nurses. So, being an RN, taking care of infection control as a link nurse or as an IV therapist, or even as a product evaluation team, as part of the product evaluation team, we are extending our services. When I talk about expanded roles, these are like infection control nurses or medication nurses or diabetic nurse educator or pain management nurses or ostomy nurses. See, this is the specialization where they are expanding their role to be performing better for patient satisfaction and for patient safety. Gender diversity is something that we need to focus again on. Now, it is not a female oriented profession anymore, and nursing leaders have to have a wider outlook towards it, where we need to have both males and females population equally to manage this profession. And nurses as primary care providers, actually, the government of India has taken it up very well. The private health sectors have not focused much on it, but then the government of India has really done a fantastic job on this by opening up, positions for nurses in terms of community health officers or primary health officers, and by taking care of the preventive aspect of patient care. And restructuring of nursing education, of course, my colleague will be talking, about this in the next session, and I don't want to go into the depth of it. Effective leaders and leadership, which is the foremost and most important factor. If we do not have effective leaders, nursing will not take up, and it will not have its due regard and recognition and respect what we deserve. So nursing leadership is very important, and their involvement in nursing research, nursing education, administration, and making policies, which is highly, highly valued. Control of practices. Who's going to control the nursing practice? It is us. It is the Indian Nursing Council or the State Nursing Council. They are there, but then the nursing homes are coming up with, nurses who have completed 2 years of training program or 6 months of training program, and they are calling them as, nurses, and aggregators and agencies are pushing them. So I think we need to put a complete full stop over here. Proper working condition is very important. Poor infrastructures. Of course, there will be a study which will be presented in tomorrow's session, which is a national study which is done by one of the ANI member, on nurses' satisfaction on the work environment, which will be presented tomorrow. So please be available to listen to it. And a poor infrastructure is something which is really, really a cause of concern right now. A dormitory where 20-25 nurses are asked to live, which is just not going to work. This generation Z or the millennials are not going to accept that kind of a living condition at all. And it is the responsibility of the nurse leader to push for it, to make sure that they are given proper living condition. Assault by co-workers, there are verbal abuse, there is physical abuse, there is sexual abuse, by patient, the co-workers and the patient parties. All these things need to be addressed, properly. Nurse leaders should not stop the nurses. Instead, they must make sure that, nurses are pushed forward to complain and to register these cases with the respective grievance redressal or the POSH committees. And nurses burnout is really too much these days because of shortage of manpower, or they are taking a lot of other additional roles that needs to be looked into. And the stress of nurses during the pandemic, it was like huge stress. Nurses who get into a patient's room at 7 in the morning were coming out only at 3, not even taking a bio break or a lunch break or a coffee break, nothing, because they are fully covered in PPEs. To that extent, nurses were working. And I think what was the nurses situation 2 years back is completely changing. And, people are respected, regarded so much that we need to change the direction of where we were to where we are and where we need to move to. And that's very important. Nurses are working without any breaks. They work continuously for 6 hours. They have their breakfast and they come at 8 o'clock and they work till 2:33 without even having a break. The team leads and the nursing officers or the nursing heads must ensure that the nurses take adequate break. Timely incentives and proper pay scales. Of course, all of us are looking forward for this, and we all know immigration of nurses are happening because, the pastures are always greener on the other side, and they are moving mostly for financial needs. We will not be able to match that salary or compensation, but I'm sure we should be able to reach to a certain level to retain some of the important and specialized nurses with us. And the pay scale, unfortunately, is very, very less compared to other professionals. When a patient life is dealt by a nurse, it is a life and death situation which she's dealing with. I think we need to really focus on that and push for it. And recognizing good workers and fast tracking is important. Career progression is very important because right now nursing is only very pyramidal and very hierarchical. We are not looking at the clinical, hierarchy for our nurses. Unless we create a clinical hierarchy with specialized nurses, it's going to be very difficult to retain the nurses. We need to have fellowship program for our nurses, like how the doctors are having. Why the nursing leaders are not coming forward to create fellowship program and retaining our nurses and paying them extra incentives, because they are specialized nurses. These are really, really important factors in, going into a different direction. So I think, with these things, we will be able to elevate the image of nurses and of nursing, and thereby progressing in the right direction. And I really hope that all of us will be moving towards the right direction, and this is the time for us to move forward. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Punita, thank you so much. What a remarkable way to start this wonderful scientific session, sharing your inputs on various aspects of us changing into a different direction. Yeah, we do face a lot of shortage of nurses, but then I think with all of us put together, we can focus on changing practices and control them, as well as we could go into effective leadership. Yes, we do lack leadership, but with many corporate hospitals, I think we could achieve the same. Thank you so much on your inputs on what you have shared to us. And we look forward to a lot of understanding towards how we could change in a different direction through your inputs. Thank you, Punita, once again. May I call upon Dr. Jadhav Sonali Tharachan to put in her concepts onto the topic?
Hello and very good afternoon to all. I am Dr. Sonali Jadhav and I'm going to talk to you today about what needs to be changed about the nursing education in country to improve its quality. Let's get to my slides. This is the overview of my presentation. First, we will talk about what needs to change about the nursing education programs. Then we talk about how curriculum and training can be, what changes are required. And finally, we talk about how can government invest in the nursing education to make it better. The first part, the nursing education programs, we need to have first and foremost the manpower studies in our country, which will guide the demand that exists for various qualifications of nursing that are required to cater to the population of the country. This will also provide a strategic direction as to what kinds of program do we really require and where this program needs to be started as new nursing institutions. So far, we have 50% and more nursing institutions in the southern part of India. We need to, when we think about, expanding the nursing education institution, we need to keep this in mind. The job openings should be provided for the new nursing education programs that are rolled out, like the postgraduate diploma courses, the nurse practitioner programs. This issue exists because of which there are no takers for these programs. And I think we will be able to do this in a better way only if we have a legislation that that makes it necessary for the hospitals to hire nurses only with specified qualification for specific job roles. We currently do not have a legislation similar to Nurse Practice Act, which exists in other countries, which guides such kind of practices. The nurse practitioner programs in the country are really required, and the need for this is acknowledged in the National Health Policy 2017 document. I feel the nurse practitioner in midwifery and the public health nursing are much required in our country today. The nursing leadership programs in education, service, and public health sector are required because the current higher education programs do not really prepare the nurses well for taking up the nursing leadership roles. The current curriculum and training needs to change in these ways. The curriculum needs to be tailor made for the scope of practice that we earlier discussed. If that is specified by the legislation, that this will be the scope of practice for this particular role. And of course, the course curriculum needs to be competency based. The NNMC 2020 bill necessitates that we should have common entrance examination for admission to various nursing courses, and this is a welcome change. This will ensure the merit of students who enter the profession of nursing. The current guidelines for faculty through the apex bodies do not require a clinical experience for a staff to get employed as teaching faculty in nursing education institution, and this needs to be changed to bring positive changes in nursing education. The post basic and postgraduate programs have to be made residential programs, and the stipend for PG students should be encouraged, or I would say it should be made mandatory by the apex bodies, which would encourage the postgraduate courses admissions, which are currently deteriorating. Other things that can be changed are faculty for clinical supervision. We can have a formally trained nurse mentors who are currently working on the service side of the parent hospital of nursing education institution. These programs can be formally rolled out through the apex bodies to train nurse mentors. As per the revised INC guidelines, if every nursing education institution is mandated to have a clinical training facility, which is really very essential for training of nursing, This would help in a large way in improving the quality of nurses that we produce. We need to have field training facility wherein I think the public and a private sector needs to really collaborate with each other and coordinate well. The government can tag a PHC with a nursing college which is located in 5 kilometers of radius for the training of nursing students. This is going to be a win-win solution for the PHC as well as training of nurses. Compulsory internship should be made mandatory for the government college nursing students. This will provide human resource in public health sector, which is much required today. The exit examinations is another thing that's proposed in NNMC 2020 bill. We need to have exit examinations to ensure the minimum skill competencies of our nursing graduates. Coming to the final part, how can the government invest in nursing? Government actually can think of acquiring private colleges which have near okay infrastructure or facilities and build upon the existing facilities, make them better and run them through government funds. Uh, like medical colleges that are thought of being set up on PPP model, similar thing can be thought of in nursing as well. Nursing colleges could come up on public-private partnership model. The existing nursing colleges in government should be looked at for adequate staffing. They are grossly understaffed. The new nursing council guidelines also necessitate that every nursing education institution should have a skill lab now for the training of nursing student. It's a good move, but the governments need to invest in for this because this is an expensive affair and most nursing education institutions would probably not really be able to do this. So grant in aid should be given by government for setting up such labs. The government also should think of setting up nursing colleges attached to every district hospital because district hospitals have a very good clinical practice area which will offer sound training for nurses. Finally, as per the central government directions, the Directorate of Nursing Education needs to be set up in every state. So far, we have it only in West Bengal. Other states need to take initiative, invest into this, and set up a Directorate of Nursing Education to improve nursing quality. The cadre recruitment rules and pay scales are not existing in many states for faculty who works in nursing education institutions. These need to be looked at urgently to improve the faculty positions in the College of Nursing. We need to have faculty development programs either through the state nursing councils or the state universities to which the colleges are affiliated. And the promotions of the faculty who work in College of Nursing should be linked to these faculty development programs. This will ensure that the faculty are updated with the current knowledge and they are in turn be able to teach this to their students. So this is what I had to convey to you through this short presentation as to what needs to change in our country about the nursing education. These are my references. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and the session is now open for questions and answers.
I'm sure we have a lot of concepts to absorb from this engaging session to put into our practice. Thank you for your insightful contents that you shared to us, Dr. Sonali. A few insights of your sessions. The nursing education program. Yeah, I think we should have manpower planning, manpower needs in the education system and a strategic direction towards the need of adequate manpower into any hospital. Also, I take the government involvement in investing in nursing in the form of funds, maybe staffing, or maybe all government institutions attached to a district hospital. That's also a very key point to be taken. Another thing, what actually came past my mind was the leadership program, what you said, which really should be competency based. I think there was a huge insight on what you gave us on the direction towards education. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonali. Now I request Dr. Mary Lopez from the US to give her insights on the international perspective of Invest for Nursing.
Welcome. My name is Dr. Mary Lopez, and I'm the Dean at the College of Graduate Nursing at Western University of Health Sciences in California, United States. And it's my pleasure to join you in this conference today. I'm ready to start my presentation, and pulling that up, I am going to give the international perspective on investing in nursing. Here's a picture of what our university looks like. Here's a picture of Western University of Health Sciences, our Nursing Science Center, and our president. And we have the Institute of Medicine of the National Academies wrote a report in 2010 to 2020 on the future of nursing, leading change and advancing health. And they came up with a dashboard to measure some indicators to see how America was investing in nursing and in healthcare. And one of the first indicators was to increase the number of Bachelor of Science in Nursing to 80% of all nurses. So in the United States, unlike in India, our nurses can start with an associate degree, and we wanted to include this and increase it to a bachelor's level. And so now we have 59% of our employed nurses have a baccalaureate in nursing. The next indicator was to increase the number of employed nurses with a doctoral degree. And you can see by this graph that we started in 2010 with just 6,000 nurses having a doctoral degree. And now we have tripled the number in 10 years to we have over 2,000 nurses in America with a doctoral degree, either a PhD or a doctor of nursing practice. The next indicator was to have nurse practitioners practice to the full extent of their license as independent practitioners. And you can see a map of the United States where there's a variety of colors. The yellow colors are where there's been some movement and some increase in the independence of the nurses. And you can see in the green states, those states have nurse practitioners who are practicing as independent practitioners. So we're trying to get all 50 states of the United States so that they can have independent practice. This practice is regulated by the State Board of Registered Nursing in each state. And then the fifth indicator was to increase nurses at the table. In other words, that nurses would be on boards and increasing the decision-making of healthcare across America. As you know, nurses are the largest group of healthcare practitioners, and they need to be at the table making decisions for nursing. And so we had a goal of having 10,000 seats filled by nurses on different boards. And so I can say, happy to say that as of December of 2021, we did have over 10,000 nurses who are sitting on boards. I myself sit on the board of a local hospital. So I'm a board of trustees making decisions for that hospital. And we need more nurses who are there at the table making decisions. The next indicator was diversity, wanting to make sure that nurses reflected the population that they serve. And so you can see by this graph, the different colors represent different ethnic minorities. So those are Hispanic, African American, Pacific Islander, people of a variety of different ethnicity backgrounds, and the two graphs should match. And so you can see the green pretty much matches, but the light blue doesn't really match. And those are our people that are of Hispanic or Latino background. We need more Hispanic and Latino nurses. So the United States is working on that. That's what happened from 2010 to 2020. And now in 2020 to 2030, there's been a new report out by the National Academy of Medicine, the National Academy of Science and Engineering and Medicine, And I've included a little link down here at the bottom. All of this information is on the internet for you to look at. And it's the Future of Nursing 2020 to 2030. And the emphasis here is charting a path to achieve health equity. That's a big focus for us. And we feel that nurses are the prime people who can really increase health equity across all groups across the nation. And so the vision is to have the achievement of health equity in the United States built on strengthening nurse capacity and nursing expertise. So that's really our vision for the future of nursing in the next 10 years. And what the report found, the key findings were that nurses are essential to improving health equity, and that nurses play a key role in responding to public health emergencies. And as you know, as we're dealing with another wave of the COVID pandemic, that nurses have been at the forefront, really responding across the sectors to the pandemic. And the demand on nursing is increasing over the next decade. We thought in the United States that we were kind of finishing up the nursing shortage and that we had enough nurses, but the pandemic really took a toll on nursing. Many nurses died. Many nurses decided not to work at the bedside anymore, and some just left nursing altogether. At the same time, at the College of Graduate Nursing, we had more people who signed up to be nursing students than ever before. So there's a paradox as some nurses are leaving the profession, others are coming on board wanting to be nurses and wanting to meet this public health emergency. So the demand for nursing is increasing over the next decade. Yet nurses face challenges limiting their ability to address needs. They need more resources, they need legislation behind them, and they need to increase their numbers. And so the federal government and others have key roles in strengthening and supporting the nursing workforce. One of the initiatives is to remove legislative and regulatory barriers to nursing care. So the initiative is by 2022, all changes to federal laws adopted in response to COVID-19 pandemic that expanded the nurse's scope of practice, telehealth eligibility, insurance coverage, and payment parity for services provided at all levels will be permanent. So what happened in the United States was that waivers were put into place to stop some regulations that were barriers to nursing care, and nurses did just fine, and patients and the communities just did fine. And so rather than going back to the way it was, legislative initiatives need to be developed to make those changes that we enacted in the pandemic permanent changes. And when possible, federal authority like the Veterans Health Administration should be used to supersede state laws that restrict patient access to nurses. And so we are really reconnecting recommendations to the federal policy. So there's a new Senate and House Representative bill called the Future Advancement of Academic Nursing, or FAAN Act. And that act will strengthen nursing education, diversify the nursing workforce, recruit diverse faculty, and strengthen nurses' ability to respond to public health emergencies. We are also connecting recommendations to federal policy in a couple of ways. The first way is the mental health resources for our nation's nursing students, nurses, and advanced practice registered nurses. And this is focused on mental and behavioral health treatment. This bill will increase the resources for mental health and behavioral health resources for nurses who are working at the bedside, because we all know how difficult it was for nurses to take care of so many sick patients and so many dying patients and their families. The next act is the Public Health Infrastructure Save Lives Act. It's a Senate Bill 674. And that bill ensures adequate funding for public health nursing and addresses the social determinants of health. We know that it's more than treating a disease, that nurses are focused on where people live, what kind of water sources they have, if they have enough food, if they have a safe place to stay, and if they have access to school and education. All of these and other social determinants of health impact health of our patients, our families, and our communities. And so we need adequate funding for these public health initiatives. And the Senate Bill 674 will do that. And then lastly, the Momnibus bill, that's in the House of Representatives 959 and the Senate 346. And that increases the number of nurses with expertise in health equity. And that is going to provide increased education and jobs for nurses with a focus on health equity. And we are trying to increase the resource and the research of evidence-based practice for nurses with expertise in health equity. So those are just some of the policies that are going on right now in America to increase the enactment of nursing resources and nursing legislation to increase nursing expertise across the board. And thank you so much for your attention, and I'll be open to any questions that you might have.
That's indeed a rewarding experience you shared on the international perspective. You have invoked us with the light of learning through your vast experience. A few points to take home are a path to health equity, and nurses are essential in improving health equity. That is something which actually took my heart into. And also to increase a nurse's expertise. Your few indicators that actually told us to increase the Bachelor of Science, number of nurses to turn into doctoral degree has tripled, which is a huge thing. And there comes the empowerment of nurses. Also, nurse practitioners. I think all of us need to get into taking up the nurse practitioner role and ensuring nurses do that particular job that they ought to do. The next part was on leadership, decision-making by nurses, which is an integral part of the nursing fraternity, and diversity. Thank you so much, Dr. Mary Lopez. That was a real enlightening thing onto the international perspective. Now, we are delighted now to welcome Mr. Vijay Ratnavi. He will be sharing the CEO's perspective of Invest in Nursing.
A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank the Association of Nurse Executives India for inviting me to be a part of this ANEICon 2022. The title is so apt, Transformational Leadership, Invest in Nursing. I think it's time that all of us really ponder over the kind of investments that we make in the nursing as a profession. It's very important for all healthcare professionals, not only in the private sector, but also in the government sector. And as a country, we all need to recognize the contributions of nursing as a profession and nurses as our colleagues. Nursing as a profession has come a long way over the last few decades. From being a function that was largely supportive, today it has become a function that plays a very, very important role in delivering quality health care. This, rather, I would say, in an environment where they had to work a lot more hard to make their contributions recognized. I would say that they have been working very hard without worrying about their recognition. But today, I think the world stands up and takes notice of the contributions that this profession has brought in to the mankind. I think nursing has kept pace with the changing environment, which is very, very important. The technological changing in the medical profession, the clinical advancements that has been happening or consistently. Today we know the medical technology keeps changing every probably a quarter, And the profession has kept pace in understanding these changes and adopted to them very, very quickly. And their ability to, because of that, their ability to deliver good quality healthcare has been immense. A large country like India will immensely benefit by empowering the nursing profession. Today, we have a lot of senior nurses who come with immense experience in their respective areas, and they can even practice, right? And today, nursing practice in India is not a very well recognized area, but I guess in some of the Western world, nurse practitioners are allowed to practice medicine to a certain extent. If a country like India can adopt or bring in certain changes, we are a very, very vast country, far and wide, spread far and wide, and the reach is very important. So midwifery and nursing, if they are allowed to practice to a certain extent, can significantly make a difference to especially key health indicators like maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate. I, being a part of the Women and Children's Hospital Network for the last 6 years, recognize the fact that our nurses bring on as their value add to the overall outcome of everything that we do, especially in a very, very critical area like neonatal intensive care unit. The role of nursing is very, very large. My own consultants often tell me that the outcome of a very sick child depends largely on the nursing that we do in the neonatal intensive care unit, and that goes to show that they have a very, very important role to play. And similarly, in the maternal side, to have a very smooth obstetric event in a hospital or a gynec event in a hospital, the nursing profession plays a very, very key role pre-event, pre-delivery, and that is something that I have myself recognized and witnessed, and I'm sure that all of us know that they have a very, very significant role that they could play. And today in rural areas, if we see the data, it's very clear that the MMR, that maternal mortality rate in the urban area is slightly better than the rural area. It's largely because the access to good knowledge and skill-based healthcare workers. But today nurses can fill that void hugely in our country and make a significant difference in these areas. I definitely feel that the topic is very apt. Invest in nursing. I think invest in nursing should be looked at in a much larger lens than just looking at them as a support service. What kind of knowledge-based enhancements that they have, what can further be done, and what kind of an empowerment that this profession could be given to add value and change the entire healthcare canvas of India, and more so, even beyond India, right? So that's something that we all need to ask ourselves, and we need to really, really look forward to making this happen, which obviously we know that is going to have a very significant impact on healthcare outcomes. So if there are any questions, I would be very happy to take them on. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be amongst all of you. Thank you.
It was indeed a great perspective from an enthusiastic, energetic administrator, and your words have pumped in so much of energy, positivity, and mission to our vision. A few points that I would relate to what you have said is we need to make our contributions recognized. We ought to speak up. Actually, that's left onto us, our shoulders, that we need to speak up and get our voice heard. Once our voice is heard, yes, we are recognized. I am with you with that. And nursing has kept pace with the changing environment. Yes, technology has changed from the year that we started to now. There's a huge change in a lot of things in nursing. So we need to ensure that we learn and we adapt to the latest trends, latest technology and researches that we have to go through. We also need to empower the nursing profession. Until and unless we speak up, only then that we can empower the nursing profession. And a lot of value actually goes in the outcomes. It is a nurse who is there 24/7 with a patient. And a nurse is the one who actually knows what the patient goes through. Also, it is a nurse who gets a chance to see the beginning of life. She also is there in the sad moments during the end of life. So until and unless we look at empowering our nurses and ensuring that our profession is recognized, we can go ahead with things. I thank you, sir, for gracing this place and ensuring that we invest in the right way. Now, I would call upon Christina Nathan to give us the student perspective on invest in nursing.
A very good afternoon to everyone present here. My name is Christina Suzanne Nathan, and I'm a second year BSc nursing student from MS Ramaya Institute of Nursing Education and Research, Bangalore, Karnataka. And it is an honor for me to be here today. I would firstly like to thank God for this opportunity because without Him, none of this would be possible. I would also like to thank Mrs. Tankam Gomez and all of the judges who have been with me on this journey from the start. Today, I will be sharing my opinion on what I think nursing leaders need to invest in to create a better nurse for the future. Nursing personnel all over the world will agree with me when I say that nursing is one of the most sought after professions in the world. However, through the fine print of this prestigious profession, we see that although we have progressed greatly, we are still not invested in the right direction. It is no secret that the nurse-patient ratio is frightfully imbalanced, with a shortage of trained nurses to population ratio of 1:670 against the WHO norm of 1:300. This is the current condition of our healthcare system. Now, in order to improve this system for the patients and as well as nurses, we need to go back to the roots of nursing education. I believe that these problems can be fixed by nursing leaders in academics. Firstly, I'd like to talk about the student learning environment at college. One of the saddest things that I have seen in hospitals is the hostile environment among the nurses and their supervisors and their co-workers, which is similar to that of some teachers and authorities and students in nursing colleges. Teachers are not merely people who teach out of a PowerPoint presentation. They are the farmers, nurturing our brains with knowledge so that one day we can grow up to be strong vines that bridge the gaps in our healthcare system. It is not an easy task, but the lives that these students will interact with in the future rest in the hands of the teacher. The subjects in nursing school are not an easy task, but just because something is not easy does not mean it cannot be done. Nursing college management must try and incorporate peer study groups, fun learning-based activities, student workshops, etc. into the calendar for the year. We must understand that these subjects are not just to pass an exam. These subjects can't be forgotten by the next year, as these are what we need lifelong. We need to invest in better teaching and learning opportunities, as this is the motherboard, the root. This is where the foundations of a good nurse is set. Nursing leaders in academics can contribute to this. Secondly, we need to invest in career management. Nursing personnel need to invest in methods and workshops, etc., to educate students on how they can get maximum job satisfaction as well as contribute to the community. We all know that the main area of focus in India is community health. Most rural areas are still in the dark when it comes to healthcare. We, as nurses, can change the state of their healthcare system. We need to invest in bringing in prominent leaders and personnel in the field of medicine who have contributed to medicine as well as had a great career in nursing. This will not only inspire the students, but also give them idea of a path they can choose to take in the future. Nursing was once a career that had a narrow stream, but now it has evolved and branched into various streams like community health nursing, nurse anesthesiologists, etc. If students are educated on this matter, it will be beneficial not only for their careers, but for healthcare as well. Thirdly, we need to focus on mental health. This is a word that has been thrown about a lot these days. However, the gravity of this aspect must be understood. Most of the damage on the mental health of nurses start at their time of training. Nursing is a professional course, but that does not mean it has to be so stressful that it drives a student to mental health issues. We need to invest in providing students with safe spaces and mentors to address their mental health. The idea that nursing is a course that is absolutely stressful and results in no sleeps, no breaks, no recreation must be eliminated from our mindsets. We have normalized these unhealthy aspects that add on to the bad mental health without the student even realizing it. Another way we can remove unnecessary stress that contributes to bad mental health is to have an organized system in place. An unorganized system leads to stress and pressure to perform well. This often carries on into our careers. This is why it is seen that the coming generation can work efficiently only when they are under great stress. It will also help to take time prior to the academic year to set a calendar for the activities, clinical postings, and exam dates, and share the same with the students. This helps both teacher and students plan their tasks well and results in better execution and outcomes. As I come to a close, I would like to say that nursing leaders and academics have the capability to use their years of hard work and vast area of knowledge to pour out this experience and values to the young minds. Even a small contribution of knowledge can go a long way. In order to understand this, we must go back and remind ourselves how, in those dark, dingy walls, one person with a lamp changed the face of nursing forever. She did it because she understood the power she had and the impact of her talent and skill set for the greater good. I would like to end with a quote by Rosalind Carter. It says, "A leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be." Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Christina, for taking us through the student perspective and the challenges faced from the students. And in order to simplify it to the extent, we need to ensure that we look at nursing as a profession. Of course, it did start. It's only in the 19th century that it started as a profession, and nursing has evolved through various streams. And as you said, subjects are not just for exams. They are to take us forward, to carry on our profession. It was really sweet of you while you said that we need to study, we need to put in our effort into our subjects so that we put it into practice as we go on. Yes, nursing is a prestigious and a noble profession. No one can be as proud to say that it is not a noble profession. The nurse-patient ratio you did talk about, but yes, we do, if we have manpower planning into our system, we can go through it without any difficulty. There's another thing that you said. Teachers are farmers, nurturing our brains with knowledge. So well said. It goes same to the leaders of the nursing profession too, that we are farmers. We need to nurture and nourish our young nurses. There's another point that, took me quite a lot is just because it's not easy does not mean you cannot do it. Nursing is a difficult profession, and because it's difficult, we cannot say we cannot do it. the passion, the commitment towards our profession should drive us to do our best. Talking about mental health, yes, nursing is a stressful profession, but if we, in our work atmosphere or in our student life, if we have fun with work, will surely help us to elevate our mental stress, and it will remove the stress that we do have. Certain hospitals do have, like ours, we do have a house activity to ensure it's a stress buster to all the nurses present to ensure that they are not stressful. So thank you so much, Christina. It was really a great presentation. Now, I would like to ask Shanu Thomas to give the staff nurse perspective on Invest in Nursing.
A warm good afternoon to everyone in this forum. Myself, Shana Thomas, working as a quality nurse in Fortis Hospital and Kidney Institute, representing West Bengal State Chapter, would like to give my thought on transformational leadership, Invest in Nursing. According to Keith Davis, leadership is the ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. It is a human factor that builds together and motivates towards goals. A good leader initiates action, coordinates, motivates, provides guidance, creates confidence, and builds morale, and of course, ethics that are essential to leadership. I aspire others to be a leader themselves and take ownership and pride in their roles and enjoy doing them. For bringing about major changes, 4 factors need to be exhibited, or otherwise, 4 I's. I, inspirational motivation. I, intellectual stimulation. I, idealized influences. And I, individualized consideration. Investing is essential to achieve our goals, which may involve current sacrifices in various ways for a profit in future. For example, by making financial investments, we are saving and accumulating a corpus for a rainy day. In order to invest ourselves in the field of nursing, we need to indulge ourselves using time and in-depth knowledge to upgrade our future stability. It's like a ladder on which we take slow and steady steps after proper thinking, observing, and planning so that no glitches arise during execution. More than a decade of experience in the field of nursing, I feel that investing in education can put your young nurses on a path towards health, empowerment, and employment. Knowledge can serve as an impetus to strengthen our policies, methods, and learning system. When we constantly improve our knowledge, our skills also improve, making us a better professional. I think as a nurse leader, we should always be one step ahead of others and be knowledgeable in a broad expanse of things. Our future nurse must fight to enhance our professional status. We need more nurse specialists, researchers, and further investments in advanced nursing practices. We should encourage all nursing professionals to develop and flourish, addressing the pillars of clinical practice, leadership, education, and research. To do so, we need to empower our early career nurses to harness these, updating knowledge with the latest guidelines and clinical evidence-based practice. Empowering the nurses with a sense of authority. But how? By making them participate in early patient assessment, for example, pressure injury, deep vein thrombosis, fall, etc., and highlight them in front of other caregivers. Conducting weekly ward meetings among the key caregivers to discuss patient progress, to make them feel a one-team approach in patient care. Showcasing innovative nursing skill, nurse informatics, nurses in quality control, stringent in infection control too. So invest in workforce and education proactively. Another aspect that I would like to throw light is on speaking up. This is very important, but often as healthcare professionals, we hesitate to voice concern. The frontline staff, such as nurses, is well positioned to observe early signs of unsafe conditions in care delivery. In many cases, people choose the safe response of silence, withholding input that could be valuable, which may be due to lack of confidence. Hence, the upcoming generation nurses should be encouraged to speak up for providing the well-being of patients. We need to build nurses' self-confidence and sense of preparedness. So invest in nursing in service class. wherein we can groom the nurse and develop their communication skill. As leaders, we should also participate with our nursing team to understand their pain points, to understand why many of them dream to go abroad. Is it always the money that matters? Or is it that as leaders, we are unable to provide a safe working culture for the frontline nurses? How can we relieve them to take double shifts and even triple shifts? Can we give them some kind of technological support to ease their strenuous patient care? Hopefully, this investment, along with a decent salary structure, can be more rewarding for many nurses as they can stay in their hometown. Further, the Indian healthcare system will be saved from brain drain, which in turn enhance the image of Indian nursing fraternity. Are we really invested in the right direction? It makes us think twice. The famous saying goes, the best investment you can make is in yourself. So I feel as nurses, we need to invest in our well-being and resilience to deliver quality care. My personal ambition is to be a transformational leader, a leader who finds the best way to achieve a goal, a motivator, or role model who can be approachable. Hence, investing in young leaders is very essential to ensure that there are individuals equipped to guide, lead, and be role models for the future of nursing. So now it's the time to invest in leader of today and tomorrow and create a global culture in which their contribution to healthcare is totally valued because without it there can be no health recovery and no health for all. So I end my speech with the Nurses Day theme, which demonstrates the need to invest in nursing to build a highly resilient and qualified nursing workforce. And we can transform healthcare system to meet the needs of the individual of today, tomorrow, and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanu Thomas. That was really enlightening. And also, you spoke on good leadership. Yes, we need to invest on good leaders so that our tomorrow is secure. You also spoke on too, with good leaders, you need to have action, build morals, ethics, and that's very, very right and true. We ought to be role models for the future of nursing. So each one of us, if we invest in ourselves, then I think we can surely set the stream for the younger generation to carry on as good leaders. Time and depth knowledge is a very right perspective onto the future. Actually, if you really look at it, if we have a knowledge that is, and we are competent, then what happens is we ensure that we know what it is. We are at par with a doctor to speak and talk about a disease condition. For that, we need to improve our skills. And as we improve our skills, we will ensure that we can be vocal enough to talk about things that can be spoken in a forum that is required. You also said, why do people go abroad? Yes, many of them do go abroad, but if we invest in the right way, I think we should be able to curtail that. So thank you so much, Shanu, for enlightening us onto this session, onto a staff nurse perspective on invest in nursing. It's been a total feast hearing all of our learned and esteemed speakers. So in keeping these ethos of ANICON 2022, the session will not be a meaningful one if we do not have some thoughts and questions from our audience. Without all of you, we would not be able to create a total environment to support your full participation. We can see a number of questions in the chat box. In the interest of time, we will try and club similar doubts and put them across to our faculty. My first question from the chat box goes to Mr. Vijay. Why are generally CEOs wary of making pro-nurse mandates For example, having a no shouting policy.
Well, that's a good question, but it also depends on the CEO himself and the top leadership, how they generally position the nursing in their own organization, right? So it's very important. Personally, for me, nursing is a very, very important vertical. And the way that I engage with them, the way that I treat them, and I ensure, and I also, it's very important for all of us to make sure that nursing as a profession, nursing as a team, and each individual in the team is treated with the utmost respect, right? So, a no shouting policy, while you may have a policy, what is more important is to demonstrate the respect that we show to the nursing team, irrespective of how young or how senior are they, right? And at no point in time, in my organization, for example, we allow anyone to, if there can be differences, there can be questions, there can be discussions, but everyone, irrespective of their position or seniority, has to be treated with utmost respect and equality, right? So it's very important, and it has to flow from top to down, and that's what I would say. And yes, it has to be demonstrated by everybody in the organization.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I agree with you. I mean, nurses have to be respected, and that ought to be demonstrated too. My next question on the chat box is, Dr. Sonali, can I have you answer this? We all know what needs to be done. How can we bridge the gap between college and service nurse leaders? Are we nurse leaders not being enough among ourselves? I think you're on mute.
Thank you for your thank you for the question. Uh, I think there's something other thing mentioned in the question. What I can read is it also talks about how to bridge the technical technology gap between college and a service nurse. So there are two parts to this question. Technology, how do we get the young graduates to learn by the time they reach the hospital, and how we bridge the gap between the college and the service sector. So I think I answered one part of it during my presentation, that involving the senior nurses from hospital into nursing education is going to bring a lot of credits to nursing education. It will also help to bridge the gap between the hospital and nursing college. We all know that we have big parent hospitals and bigger nursing colleges which are in same campus, but somehow it's a sad thing that the nursing service and education department are not ready to work together. So if we start doing that, I think it's very easy to bridge the gap. If the senior nurses at the bedside who work in the hospital, if they handhold a student from right from the first year of her training as to how to handle certain equipments, let it be a syringe pump, an infusion pump, at a later stage, and ventilator, or a what to say, your defibrillator. So I think you learn by doing. There's nothing that we can sit in college and teach about a machine. Machines every day change. There's every day a new model of mobile phone in the market. Same way, every year there are new models of ventilators. It's just you need to know about the basic how to handle those equipments, and I think that can be best done at the bedside. We can give a little orientation at College of Nursing, but we certainly need to have a better coordination between among ourselves, actually, the nurses at the hospital side and those who work in the College of Nursing. So it's not the leaders alone do it. I think the change happens from the workers, not from the leaders. Leaders are only there for the workers to motivate for that change. So I think we don't need big people to do it. We can all start it at on our own levels. I hope I answered you.
Yes, Dr. Sonali, you have answered the question. Thank you so much for that. The next question is to Ms. Punita. What would you expect from hospital leaders to facilitate, to fulfill the needs that you mentioned? You had mentioned a few needs that you had. So, what would you expect them to do?
Hi everyone again. So I would really not look at it from the hospital leader's perspective. I would look at it from the nursing leader's perspective, because I think whatever I have mentioned, it is all to do with nurses and the nursing leader's contribution. And in the beginning of my presentation, I did mention that it is time that we stop begging. It's time that we start having that soft touch where people say, oh, poor nurses. No, we are not poor nurses anymore. I don't really think in that angle at all. So for us to move from that soft begging spree to a demanding spree, it's time that the nursing leaders come forward and say that these are all my outcomes, these are my data, now you give me what I deserve. That's what I think we need to move. And I also did mention about academic programs. I mean, why only doctors are having fellowship program and why nurses are not having fellowship program? And if we are going to look at Indian nursing councils or the state nursing council to help us to, drive certain program, I think it's going to take a long way. We as nursing leaders must come forward and create fellowship program for our nurses so that they specialize in the field, and it becomes win-win for them because one, the nurses are getting specialized. Number two, the doctors are feeling very comfortable having specialized nurses. Number three, the patients are benefited at large. Number four, the organization is benefited because the patients are going to come looking for those specialized nurses. So, as I said, I'm not looking at the hospital leader's responsibility. I'm only looking at, as a nursing leader, what is mine and your role. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, Punita, you have answered it very rightly. That's very nice. I think there are lots of questions to Mr. Vijay. So the next question comes to Mr. Vijay. You look to be a very prominent personality.
I didn't know till today.
Okay. The question goes to you. In all public forums, nurses are praised and acknowledged. Nurses at large are still not happy and engaged. How can a CEO facilitate nurses to practice at their top?
Well, then I think the only way is to interact more, right? We have to talk to each other more, understand what is the requirement, and clearly define the deliverables from both the sides, right? And ensure that these deliverables are adhered to, right? So. As Punita was mentioning, that it is not something that you feel around. Oh, poor nurse. No, never like that. You guys are professionals. Nursing as a profession, an absolute professional, team. And when you engage with that team, the approach has to be absolutely professional, and there has to be discussions, there has to be understandings, and you arrive at a very clear deliverable on both sides, and ensure that those are done. Right? So that's the only way to ensure that you are able to ensure that the practicing nurses are very happy, and the management or whoever is dealing with them are very clear that there is another side to them to deliver what they are supposed to be doing it. And the collaboration and the discussions between all agencies have to be very frequent and very, very professional.
I totally agree with you because until and unless we are professional, until and unless we command respect. Basically, nursing, we ought to command respect and demand it. Thank you so much for answering that. My next question goes to Dr. Sonali. As we are preparing nurses to be confident to speak up, what will be your response to what Christina, our student nurse, spoke? Could you enlighten us on that?
Sorry, I did not hear you properly. Could you please
No.
repeat?
I said, as we are preparing nurses to be confident and to speak up, what will be your response to what Christina spoke? She spoke on sort of having nurses as a very prestigious, noble profession. There should be hostility in the environment. So, what would be your response to that?
Okay. I think, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Although your voice was breaking, I couldn't hear properly. But what I understood was you're asking me what is my response to Christina saying nurses and nursing teachers being hostile to nursing students. Am I right?
That is one part of it. Also, on
Okay.
to how teachers can be farmers and nourish the profession, nurture and nourish the profession. These are a few things that she spoke. She also spoke on to stress management, mental health of nurses. So some light on that.
Okay. See, what I feel is it's not that that we are nursing teachers, so we know it all. Whatever, as whether we are at whatever positions, as a lecturer, assistant lecturer, principal, what we have learned is we have learned by observing who were our teachers, and I think it's very well known that nursing has been a very strict profession. Shouting has been in and out a part of nursing training from the beginning, with which we all have undergone. So I was just talking about this to my faculty other day, and I told them it's that mother-in-law, daughter-in-law phenomena. What I underwent, I will let my daughter-in-law undergo, and you think that's the best way to train people. And if we have to really become better teachers, first we need to train ourselves in a better way. So I think the change starts there, which we are trying. I do have a suggestion box at my institute, and I do get some suggestions from students that this teacher has been very harsh, that teacher has been very harsh. And I don't take a punitive approach to those teachers, because I do understand them, because they have seen only this, so they can only give that back. So I just tell them that you will have to be kind. When I find your fault, how you feel anxious, the same way the student feels. So if you become a little more understanding, you get to listen to that child as to what he or she has to say, I'm sure he'll be more ready to follow what you say. So I think that culture change in the nursing education is much required. Coming to the stress of nursing education, I think probably all the teachers as well as nursing students, it's not just students, the teachers in nursing colleges are also much stressed, because our curriculums are so vast and we are in some way pressurized to complete them in a stipulated time. Take classes, send them the students to clinicals, get the logbooks filled. So when I, as a teacher, get stressed in some way, I pass it on to my student. So our curriculums, if we could trim them, make them more time relevant, and cut off a lot of theory, I think that will give a lot of breathing space for students as well as teachers. And then we could think, because now with like you have NABH for hospital, we have NAC for nursing colleges. And we have, if we have to have NAC, we have to have 25 committees in college, and every day we are supposed to put on the website as to what new we do. And we all wonder as to where is the time to do these new things. And if we start doing it, definitely we are going to chase everybody for doing it, and that's going to create more stress. We are already stressed. I do agree with what Christina says, but I want to also say that it's not just students, the teachers also are stressed. So it's not a problem that a one person can solve, it's a system issue. We all need to work towards it, probably lobby with our apex bodies to get smaller changes at one time done. But definitely culture change, my change is in my hand. If I think that I can be kind to my student while I deal with her, it's possible. So let's start with one person at a time. I think that's a good step to start with. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was, actually change starts with me. That's a very common thing, and it's a very apt thing that you have said. My next question is to Mr. Vijay. Recently, there have been discussions about making nurses in 6 months. Or will you feel safe if such things are allowed?
Come again? I mean, recently
Can I
I
repeat?
missed the question. Can you be a little loud, please? Yeah.
Okay. There has been a discussion that to make nurses in 6 months.
In 6 months?
Yes. So will you feel safe in such things?
I don't think so. I mean, personal my opinion after being in the industry for almost 28 years and having seen the nursing profession doing a phenomenal amount of clinical work. After training through their GNMs, BScs, studying for 4 years, I think it would be quite out of place to even think that you can produce a nurse in 6 months. No way. I don't think so. Yeah, you can, after the basic training, you can try and enhance their skills by giving specific, courses around a specific subject for a time frame. But the basic nursing skill is a very high skill, and it's built and developed on, entire science of physiology and a whole lot of things. It cannot be. I don't think, personally, if you ask me, will I put myself in the hand of a nurse who says that I've been trained 6 months? I would say no.
Okay. Thank you. I know even we as nurses would never, nurse leaders, we wouldn't like something where there's a shortcut. So skills are required, practice, the knowledge is needed. So I think it's very essential that they go through the training, because why can't we think of other professions which are within 6 months?
Impossible.
If we think of this, it's impossible. Yes, I do agree with you totally, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any of you have any comments that you would like to share? It's open. Anyone?
I
Yes,
have one
Lisa.
question. I have one question for Mr. Vijay again.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Vijay.
I
So, as a CEO of maternal and child health chain, in the country, how confident are you to allow your midwives to conduct deliveries? Are we just using them as assistants, or we are really making them to perform? The reason why I asked this question is during your presentation, you were also talking about how important it is, to make our nurses and our midwives to perform. So, I wanted to ask you because, yours is a corporate hospital. Will you be allowing midwives to conduct deliveries?
Well, we need to keep a few things in mind when we look at that. If you ask me, are midwives conducting deliveries? We all know that in different setups, it is already happening, right? If you ask me, in a corporate setup or in a hospital like our network, will we allow? We need to understand the whole practice pattern for very many years, for decades, been like a patient chooses a doctor for the care and then comes into a hospital setup, right? Hence, by means of or by way of a particular patient being looked after primarily by a doctor, the responsibility or accountability or delivering them or the decisions around them becomes theirs, right? And they end up doing that. So that is how the whole system has been operating, in at least in our country. Hence, mostly it is the doctors who, or always the doctors who end up doing deliveries of their own patients, and patients choose based on whatever criterions that they decide
to decide on a particular doctor. But if there comes a day, right, where the nurse practice is allowed, and if patients are going to choose the nurses for their care, I think we will be one of the first organizations to adopt it.
Thank you. That's such a candid answer. Thank you so much. Thank you. I have
Can
one
I
question.
say something?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think I just wanted to comment on what Dr. Vijay Ratna said. I've heard same thing from many doctors, and I think what he said is correct. That the we don't have a legislature that permits the nurses for independent practice, and when we talk about having authority to do something independently, we should also be taking the responsibility for the same. However, in India, the legislature actually doesn't hold the nurse responsible for the primary care of the patient, but it's the doctor and the hospital. So, if we want independence, we will also have to ask for legislature that will hold us responsible and obliged to it, I guess. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonali. But I think that legislation part of it is a whole new chapter altogether, because we all know that we do not have a Nurse Practice Act as of now. So that's a whole lot of, gateway of a larger discussion. So I just have something to talk to you, Sonali, because you are the principal of MS Ramaya, and you have a large hospital which is associated with that. There are few important things, which is not being taught to a student, in the college, which is the primary importance, which has the primary importance in the hospital, like the accreditation processes, like hospital information system, like your customers' expectations, and your patient satisfaction. See, these are the basic things which in a hospital, which is expected out of a new nurse when she comes in. And totally, when nurses come in, they are absolutely not job ready at all, because they have no idea of what's happening in the hospital. Now, my question to you is that now that you're connected with the MS Ramaya, do you collaborate with the nursing head over there, and you make sure that things are being taught to your students?
Your voice, I think my either your connection or my connection is not good, so I couldn't hear the entire part what you asked. What I understood is you're checking on why there's a gap in teaching basic things that the nurse administrators expect and fresh graduate to know when she takes over.
Yes.
I could hear you saying about the accreditation, NABH process, and I couldn't hear the other things actually what you
Yeah,
said,
the other things are
other
like,
aspects, but I trust those are like basic skills. Like a lot of nurses, when they graduate, they are not aware of even checking vital signs. I do agree with such things, and those kind of gaps exist. With Ramaya, we have not faced these problems because we do have our large parent hospital, which is good with number of patients, and our students get to practice right from first year onwards at these hospitals. But there are education institutions, especially I am from Karnataka, and we have the largest number of countries. Nursing education institutions located in Karnataka. The fact is, 80% of these institutions do not have their parent hospital, and they get affiliated with a government hospital or some private hospital, to which that particular hospital to which they go, there may be another 20 or 30 nursing colleges who come. So there's hardly any opportunity for these children to really learn anything. Again, I would say this is a system issue. We do have IMC guidelines that there should be a parent hospital. Now, the new guideline says that within a 2 year, every college should have its own parent hospital, but I don't know how far it gets implemented. As long as we continue mushrooming of nursing colleges, which do not have a proper clinical practice area, I think we will continue with these issues. There's another problem at colleges which have parent hospital, that the hospital side nurses or administrators sometimes are too skeptical in allowing students to engage in direct patient care. As a young teacher, I've always faced, in hospitals, certain doctors, even duty doctors or PG residents telling, oh, you're a student, you don't touch a patient. So if you don't allow for the 4 years of training for that child to touch a patient at all, how do you expect her to learn something suddenly when she passes out her course? I've raised these questions, which are not much liked by clinicians. If you own a college and you have the parent hospital, uh, you should have that readiness. To what extent and how, under supervision, mentorship, you engage your students in getting the patient care done. So I think unless we get into that, we are going to continue having these issues. This is, of course, certain things what you talked about, NABH. Yes, we don't have it in the curriculum, but I think it's a very welcome suggestion. And during the internship time, I post all my students. They are not under my control. I give them under the control of the nursing superintendents, and they post them round the clock in morning, evening, and night shifts in the hospital. I also invite my nursing superintendents to give talks to my faculty as well as students on to what is NABH accreditation and what are the basic 10 chapters, what, just to brief them about it. I think once they have this orientation, it would be easy for them to get onto it. It's only integrating things if you have a parent hospital. But hospital, clinical facility, if you don't have sound, I think you really cannot hope that students will know these basic things.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sonali. That was really great.
Thank you.
And for the constraint of a little time, we would just take one question for either, let's ask Shanu a question. And a little quick so that we can wrap up. Why do you think nurses do not speak up when they see something wrong?
This question is for who?
Shanu? Shanu Thomas?
Yes, ma'am, I am there. Thank you, ma'am, for this question. So, why they do not speak up? Yes, of course, they are not very confident enough. They're not knowledgeably sound. So, they are main, like, they're just like functional doers. They only carry out the orders that are being given to them. They are not trying to be thoughtful strategists. They are those who can make independent decisions. So because they're not sound in their knowledge, and so they are not very confident, that's why they cannot speak up. So we should actually convert ourselves from functional doers to thoughtful strategists, and hopefully as nursing leaders we can voice out our concerns at any table.
Thank you, Shanu. Thank you for that. Can we ask Christina also? She's the only one who's left. So we will have a quick question for her. What do you think current generation students can do for making teachers less stressful?
So, ma'am, from what I've seen, I think it's very simple to, have an organized, like studies schedule and just follow instructions. Like once the teacher has given you something, once they have taught you something, just immediately, study it, try and have a fun way to, memorize it or remember it. And in that way you end up doing better in your examinations, the teacher would be under less stress. And I mean, I think there's a fine line between fun and education, and you have to be dedicated as well as have your recreation and everything. There should be a balance.
Okay. Thank you. That's really nice. So coming to the end of our track 2, I really would like to thank Punita Singh, Dr. Sonali, Mr. Vijayaratna, Miss Christina, and Shanu Thomas, Miss Shanu Thomas. It was such an enlightening and interactive session. I really enjoyed it. I hope all of you also enjoyed the same. And the entire participants, I think, to thank ANICOM 2022 for for ensuring to give us such a platform to look at how do we invest in nursing. And a great gratitude to all of you for being patient and putting down your thoughts to us. My heartfelt thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was wonderful being a part of this. Thank you.
Thanks, Sunita. Thanks.
Thanks, Sunit.
Education is an exceptional field. It's the only field where you have a possibility of impacting not only the lives of the individual today, but also making a change in the future. And when it comes to healthcare education, the possibility of impacting many lives, each of our students, each of the students who are going through a healthcare education context, the number of lives they impact really has a possibility of seeing the way India engages with healthcare, or the healthcare index of India gets impacted. And that is where all of us at Midvarsity enjoy working at and creating an impact on. At Midvarsity today, we are at an interesting tipping point. Not only do we have to look at how we're impacting education for doctors who graduated over the last 4 or 5 years, but we also have to prepare a curriculum and a set of courses and a methodology which will impact the millennials who are going to graduate over the next year or so. We continue to create value and impact on the ground. That is, save a life every day through every student that we graduate.
Get ready, 'cause here I come. Gonna move the mountain, gonna touch the sky, stand in the middle of a hurricane, looking right in the eye. Ain't nothing gonna hold me down. Get ready, 'cause here I come.